Hi, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Before I get today's episode off the ground, I did want to say a thank to Bill Sanders over at Watch Art Sci because he had some mic issues at his last live stream. And I said, well, I've been having mic issues. And he says, well, get a better mic. And I'm like, well, I have a nice mic. And he said, well, have you checked your default settings on your computer? Because I thought I had done it a while back, but I did do a major system update, so it must have defaulted to the internal microphone again. And lo and behold, I went to the system preferences, and yeah, I was able to redefault to the external microphone amplifier for my Rode condenser mic. Unless no one can hear this, we'll find out. But I just wanted to say thanks, Bill, for the tip because sometimes it bears repeating to check the basics. So even though we I may have criticized Bill in the past, but I have come to respect his position on silicon hairsprings. I don't completely agree with him, but since he doesn't, he's I don't know if he's modified his position, but he's explained his position more thoroughly. And for example, he's not really against escapement wheels and pallet forks being made out of silicon. It just bothers him that the hairsprings are made of silicon because they can't be worked on after the fact. And that's true. And that's why I respect his position on it. I don't directly agree because these are parts that are made in semiconductor processing procedures, industrial level. So unless the earth ends, there'll be parts for those watches available. Hey, TH, glad to see you. Really pleased, really pleased. So I was just talking about, silicon hairspring. So Bill is correct in that you can't rework a silicon hairspring, but the number of watchmakers that are that skilled and the number of pieces that are out there in the world and the amount of spare parts that will be available for the foreseeable future, I don't think that's a real issue. I mean, like I said, so I respect his concern on that. I just don't think it's going to be a real issue in the long run. Maybe one day he'll ask me or I'll ask him or we'll think to do a live stream together because I guess us two old curmudgeons can probably think of some interesting things to say about the watch industry. But yeah, when you think about things like parts in a watch and whether the movement is truly mechanical in the sense of, some people think that it's more of a toy or disposable junk if it has, say, for example, plastic parts like the Powermatic 80 in it, But then again, the Mania 5100 had plastic parts in it, and it was and the Omega, the closed case back Omegas in the 90s and noughts. I don't want to. I'm blanking on the model number of the movement specifically, but there was a point where if you'd bought this Speedmaster with the closed back, it had a plastic part, and if you got it with the open back, of course you got the higher finished movement, and they really checked it over, and were no plastic parts in it. And like I said, the Lamania 5100. So that whole issue of the purity of mechanical movements, I think that's definitely something we could talk about in another episode. But today, I just thought, let's talk about integrated bracelets and the fad currently, or is it a trend that is growing and is permanent? But the fact that everyone seems to have an integrated bracelet watch out today. Just recently, I posted a piece on the new Movado integrated bracelet watch, which I came across when I was in New York, doing my Macy's shopping. They have Karstadt here in Germany, but it's not the same. And so I got a chance to compare the new Movado integrated bracelet piece with the Tissot PRX Powermatic. Well, actually, in the case of the Movado and the Tissot, these comparisons were between the quartz pieces. So we had a $800 quartz piece. No, 600. I'm sorry. The Movado was like 6 and change quartz, 40 millimeter, and integrated bracelet. and I paired it up in the video to the Tissot 40 millimeter integrated bracelet quartz Tissot, and the quartz Tissot is only $400. The Movado has a richer face, but interestingly enough, the face is richer, and they really went low key on the indices. So the indices on the Tissot pop more. It's a more visible, vibrant piece in that sense. But there are people who like that laid back, the slim, non-loomed hands and indices look of a dress watch as opposed to a sports watch. And I think Movado's trying really hard to square the circle on that, making a dressy sports watch. But integrated bracelet. I mean, Leica's got an integrated bracelet. Pardon me, I actually am going to have to reach over. I didn't think I'd have to, but I left my list on my coffee table, and so I had to reach around past because I actually, how much light? There we go. I literally just wrote down not even micro brands. I wrote down integrated bracelet watches that are currently available that are reasonably popular. I mean, you can go to ones that nobody's heard of, and this list could be quadruple as long. And I mean, I literally ran out of space. And just to give you an idea, and then we'll talk about the history of integrated bracelets and the like. But we've got the Christopher Ward 12, which I just did a review on. Obviously, the Patek Nautilus, the Vacheron Constantin oversea, and the Vacheron Constantin and the Audemars Piguet. Of course, the Royal Oak that started the fad, or I shouldn't say fad, started the trend of integrated bracelet watches. Because, I mean, prior to the AP Royal Oak, there were other watches that had integrated bracelets. There were some of the 50s fashion watches and 70s fashion watches that were all bracelet. That's a little bit different. But then, for example, we talk about something, if it's if they're shrouded lugs, does that make it an integrated bracelet? If the fact that you can replace the bracelet means that it's not an integrated bracelet, I got a pair of replaceable Tissot PRX integrated leather strap right here. The High Life from Frédéric Constant, also integrated bracelet, but also interchangeable straps. A lot of integrated bracelet watches have interchangeable straps, but a true integrated bracelet watch like this Bulova Accutron from the 70s, this bracelet is, I mean, part of the case pretty much. I would have to have a watchmaker take this bracelet off of this case. This is a truly integrated case, because if you want to, in the case, say, for example, here I've got my Universal Genève Senna, right? This is an integrated bracelet. It does have quick releases. Even back then in the 90s, it had a quick release, and it had a leather strap available for this watch. So again, integrated bracelet, replaceable straps. So if it's an integrated bracelet, an integrated look with replaceable straps, because then this is an integrated bracelet, right? Replaceable straps. Or actually, these are really hard to replace if you think about it. I had to buy an extra tool that was precise and thin enough to fit into the slots on this to pop this off once for my fun with straps. And everybody knows I love to change my straps. I don't change the straps on this because it is a pain in the tuchus. And the new Air King is a 21, so it's a pain to find. It's a pain to find matching straps anyway, right? So, is this a true integrated bracelet? No, but it's as true an integrated bracelet as an integrated bracelet watch that has replaceable straps. Just because you have to get the replacement straps from the manufacturer doesn't mean they're not replaceable. So what's the difference between the Tissot PRX or even the Vacheron Constantin, which has, I'm sorry, or even the Vacheron Constantin that has replaceable straps, the Frédéric Constant High Life that has replaceable straps? If it's an integrated watch that has replaceable straps, are they truly integrated bracelets? So then we have to go to the next step. The look, right? Is it the way that the bracelet fits The case, the 35,000 euro um, Lange and Son Odysseus has a really funky bracelet case line, very broad lugs. Um, it looks integrated, but it's not. But what makes an integrated bracelet? The trim, the lines, the fact that uh, you can only put the manufacturer straps on it. And Oris Aquis has got an integrated bracelet. You know, I don't think it makes it special. I think they did it there in the case of the Aquis to give it a really good beefy look with the strap, and they felt that a nice solid center link to the case made it look buffier, and it's hard to do that with an end link that would have to fit into a standard lug spacing. So in some cases it's a design decision. In some cases, obviously, it's a design decision because that's part of the design language of that piece. But is it only considered an integrated bracelet if people think you're trying to, you know, read the notes from Genta and the Royal Oak and the Nautilus? Huh? Is it so? For example, this watch isn't trying to be, since this watch isn't trying to be a Royal Oak or a Patek or any of that other, even though it has an integrated case, I wouldn't consider it part of the integrated case fad style now, because it looks like itself. It doesn't look like anything else. Or even something really, heavy design language as this Senna. It's an integrated bracelet, right? But it's not trying to flash off of other Genta-esque integrated bracelets. So I guess you would only really consider it an integrated bracelet design in the current trend if it's a Genta-inspired style. What are your thoughts? Hey, Antares, very cool to see you, my friend. Yes, everything is going awesomely. I managed to get the mic to work right away for first time. Like I said, nod to Bill Sanders. So we were going through this list, really long list. The Ciosa, relatively new, the Citizen. The Movado, relatively new. Like I said, the Oris Aquis is an integrated bracelet, but it's not really a Genta-esque design. B plus? No. It would not be considered in this list if you go by that criteria of, is it that type of a design? But then again, a lot of these newer integrated bracelet designs have very round cases, like the Leica, the new Leica, or the Movado. In the case of the Christopher Ward 12, it's trying to split the hairs. It's really got a lot of different pieces of design language from a lot of different watches in it. But they've got a dodecagonal 12-sided bezel, hearkening the Laureato's lug bezel, because the Laureato bezel actually is a nut, and you can unscrew the entire face of the watch. Those are the lug nuts, the nut lugs. The bezel's a big nut. Okay, the Bulgari-Octo, of course, right? Even Timex has got one. Bremont's got one. The Tudor Royal, the Yema Urban Traveler, nice watch. Laurent Ferrier makes one, nice company. I mean, if you think about the Bulgari-Octo, I was just in duty free, and the funny thing is that if I sold some pieces, I could probably buy an Octo, but I don't hang in the kind of circles where I would, I mean, I do. If I felt that strongly about the Octo, I guess I'd wear it no matter what, because I wear my Chronomaster everywhere, and a lot of people go, "Well, isn't that open heart high end piece like this? It's not necessarily a jeans piece." I'm like, that's why I put the blue leather strap on it, so I could wear it everywhere. So I can get people who wear the Octo in jeans or flip flops or whatever, because I guess they really like that piece. But to me, the Octo is such a high-end, classy dress piece. I would always feel that I would have to be wearing, at least a cool blazer wear it, with it. But that's how some of these watches develop their reputation, their aura, their feel anyway. Some watches you wouldn't feel right with certain watches in certain situations. It's interesting how the style, but then again, that's part of style, right? You just like cars. You don't necessarily want to take the stretch limo to a beach party, but then maybe you would. It's ditto for the VW Beetle. For me, if I can tell it's an integrated bracelet, I steer clear. I like to have options. Well, that's another very good point about integrated bracelets, right? Like in the case of this one, that's a true integrated bracelet. It's this, it's this or the highway, right? Now, in an integrated bracelet watch where you have at least some choices within the company, I could at least swap this for a leather. Although I think for this watch, because of the age, the leather would be a tough one. It would probably be more valuable because the leather they don't make any new ones and leather doesn't have a great shelf life. But say, for example, even something as difficult to change the bracelet on as this, it is just a standard 21 millimeter lug, and you could pick up some other straps. So I agree with you. And as anyone who watches the channel knows, I'm a big, I have a whole playlist, Fun with Straps, and I go through different watches and different straps, which reminds me, I picked up some new pieces, and I should definitely do a Fun with Straps round with the new pieces. One of them is passing through my hands. I've got someone who wants to take the Omega alarm watch off my hands, the Memomatic. So I'll do the episode reviewing it, of course, and then I'll do at least one Fun with Straps because it's a 22, which is a pretty wide lug width for a Seamaster. But the older ones, had tended to have bigger, flatter case designs. But move that one along. But I'll do a Fun with Straps on that. But yeah, I'm a big strap changing person. I love changing straps on watches. The more different straps you have, the better off you are. I mean, I've currently got my Mont Blanc Nicolas Roussek on a rubber so I could wear it more casually. I'm a big fan of being able to change the pieces. In fact, I've got this one I've got my my Nomos on a rubber right now. I got the Nomos on this. It's actually a black silicone. It's really nice and soft. I like it a lot. And then I took the leather strap off of my Bulova Lunar Pilot Meteorite, and I put this textured silicone strap on it. So I'm a big fan of changing straps. I think the more strap options you have, the more watch options you have, the more presentation options you have. Heck, I sold my Rado and I kept the brown leather strap because it went so well with my IWC Antoine Supri, Saint-Supri. They named the watch after the author of The Little Prince. And this is a really nice UTC, twin time zone. The second time zone's in the little window below. And this is a Rado strap, but it looks fantastic on this watch. It looks better than the strap that IWC gives you. But they give you a plain brown calf strap to really emphasize the rugged tooliness of this extremely beautiful luxury piece. So, balance and balance. Zenith Defy, as I pointed out, they were arguably the first in '69 or so integrated bracelet. Maurice Lacroix Icon, as I said, the Frederic Constant High Life, the Baume & Mercier Riviera, Tag Heuer Link, the Bell & Ross, their entire new sports watch series, the Ingenieur, IWC Ingenieur is a integrated bracelet, the Chopard Alpine Eagle, the Laureato, the Gerard Perregaux, the Moser Steamliner. I mean, so many. And there were so many out there that I didn't even mention. There are so many out there that I don't even know about. So something tells me that integrated bracelets are going to become a new subcategory within the watch industry because they are good for the fashion sense side of the house. For somebody who just wants something nice to wear that looks, and they may even care about the fact that it tells time. They'll throw on that Tissot PRX because it is a piece of jewelry that tells time. And so an integrated bracelet watch does fill that aspect of watches as jewelry to the literal level that because of the integrated bracelet, the watches are intended to be used as that, the way they are. So, TH, when you're saying that you want that choice, The integrated bracelet watch is designed to remove that choice from you because they want you to have that presentation, and that's the presentation that you get. You may be able to change from rubber to leather, like with the Frederic Constant High Life series, but it's going to be their mounting interface and it's going to be their style. So at least they have control over that as well. But then it all depends on what you want to get into. You could always buy yourself a Hamilton khaki field officer and get yourself a nice watch that works well, does everything, looks good, and you don't have to worry about snobs giving you a hard time. Joel Henry, how's it going? Live long and prosper. I feel I can wear my Christopher Ward 12 anywhere. It is a really nice watch. It really is a nice watch. And the nice thing about it is a sharp. And the thing is, I would call it a premium. I wouldn't call it a luxury sports watch. I'm with Adrian Barker on that. Is that some watches are premium watches? They are above average, but they are not intended to be pets. They're not. They still hold on to their toolishness, as it were. You know what I mean? Like the Speedmaster. Although this one is totally retired, I only wear it with a suit now, hence the alligator strap. But the Speedmaster actually put this back on the metal and retain. You feel it's a tool watch. They're charging luxury prices for it, and in that sense, that's why I call it premium. But it's not a luxury piece; it's a high-end tool piece. And the Christopher Ward gives me that vibe. It is a nice, sharp watch that you could, wear anywhere, and it'll do a great job, and it'll look good doing it. I was impressed by the Christopher Ward that I borrowed from my friend, and like I said, for that money, you're talking about 13. You got a display back Salida 200, so it's a Swiss movement integrated bracelet with what I thought was interesting is that the quick release spring bars on the Christopher Ward aren't on the strap. They're on the case. So that adds a potential service issue for the entire watch, because if the spring bar goes, you got to send the whole case in. But it also allows you to gives you a little bit more flexibility with the bracelets, because you don't have to integrate an entire spring pin assembly holder, which is why there are these metal flanges on these. And that's why there are metal flanges on all the integrated bracelet leather straps, because they have to integrate. No, but they have to put a spring pin holder into the end of the strap. With the Christopher Ward approach of putting the spring pin holder on the case, the end of the strap can be relatively flat with just then holes on the inside front edge to take the pins from the case. So I do like the quick release bracelet setup that Christopher Ward has on their watches. It strikes me as very Italian, strangely enough, even though because we're thinking about cars, or I was thinking about cars a little bit at least. And a lot of people talk about how Italian engineering is not great with cars. It's not that Italian engineering is not great with cars. It's that Italian engineering is too great with cars. I'll give you an example. I used to be a working mechanic, and once I had a car up on the lift, and it was my first Lancia, and I noticed that the brake rotors were up against the transmission. And I said to my colleague, I'm like, dude, look at that. And he goes, yeah, it reduces the unsprung weight of the car, makes it more maneuverable. And it does. But I looked at it and I'm realizing, by having the brake rotor up against the transmission, that meant the rear axle and the constant velocity joints, the CV joints that are turning the wheel, every time you brake, all of that braking energy goes through the drive shaft. I mean, for the wheel with the CV joints, the constant velocity joints, the kind of, the little universal joints. So even though it helped the car's performance, it reduced the car's operational, lifetime between maintenance intervals, because you're going to have to replace those CV joints way earlier than you would in a vehicle that didn't have the brake rotors up against the tranny. But that car will corner a little bit better and probably win the race by half a length over the car that has outboard mounted, and everything else being equal, by moving the brake rotors to the outsides of the vehicle back into the unsprung parts of the car. That's a couple 100 pounds. Brake rotors, pads, calipers. That's a lot of weight in the brake system. But putting them up against the engine changes the maintenance figure. So, by that same logic, putting the spring pin holder up against the case in the Christopher Ward, potential maintenance issue, but I can really see how it simplifies, and also it makes the bracelets cheaper because it makes them simpler. Simpler is cheaper. Simpler is also easier to manufacture. Fewer, you get your yields up. You have fewer bracelets you have to throw away because they don't conform. So I really do like what Christopher Ward did with the 12. Someone says it's because of the dodecahedral face, but then why call it the 12? Whereas there are 12 variants in the line. So I'm still holding on to my belief that the 12 really is hinting at the fact that there are 12 different versions of the 12. Because if it was about the bezel, why would they call it the 12? Wouldn't they just call it 12? Or I don't know. Pondering thoughts of a watch collector with way too much time on his hands. We're about halfway through. We're actually, depends on how the flow goes, because sometimes I end early, sometimes I don't. But it looks like we got some nice conversation here, so we'll probably run the length. Um, Daniel, hi Daniel. Greetings from San Antonio. Very cool. San Antonio's a nice place. I haven't been there in a while. Last time I was there was for an electronics convention. But yeah, I was stationed in San Angelo a long, long, long time ago, which I know is not anywhere near San Antonio, but I was stationed in Texas. And San Antonio's a nice place. It is. I like Austin a lot too. JB. Hey, JB. What do I think of the new Citizen, the NJ0188080X, or sits between the Toyota and the Series 8 ranges? It has small seconds, looks killer. Yes, the one with the small seconds. I think it looks killer too. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to do what a lot of the Swiss companies have got some really nice designs, and they're not saying that they're homages, because it's their own expressions of those designs. Because small seconds, I think, are making a small comeback, because again, just like display backs, small seconds feel kind of mechanicky. You know what I mean? Small seconds are kind of quaint yet functional. You know, the Aquaterra, small seconds. The new, I think the new Rolex is a small seconds. It's a small seconds because it's not any other functionality in there. Small seconds are cool. Small seconds have always been cool. I mean, if you think about like the Unitas movement, that's been used in a lot of watches. One of the reasons is it's got big metal plates, takes really well to decoration and engraving, skeletonized as well too. And it's a simple movement, 17 jewels, but it's a robust movement, originally made for pocket watches. And that's a small seconds. And the primary difference between the two versions of the Unitas movement is where the small seconds are, at the 9 or the 6. So small seconds are always cool. And Citizen doing that, again, Citizen is making all the right moves. At one point, I actually thought they owned Timex, because Timex uses so many Miyota movements, but they're owned by their own separately. But Timex uses so many Miyota movements. I really thought that Timex was owned by Citizen, but they do own Bulova, and Bulova gives them an opportunity to sell watches that have their own, interesting heritages, without having the Citizen, because unfortunately, because the Japanese companies came up through, they have the same issues that Honda had to deal with. Once upon a time, Honda was considered cheap, good but cheap. And Citizen and Seiko and all these other companies are fighting their way out of that. Seiko's tried it with using different names. Citizen bought Bulova, and they've come out with some really nice pieces. I mean, the new Devil Diver GMT is a really nice watch, and they're offering it in multiple style variants. And Bulova's got the Wilton, just so many really nice pieces. I mean, Meteorite dial Actually, I'm not a complete watch snob, but I wouldn't normally go out of my way to buy a quartz watch. Uh, but this did it for me because the meteorite dial made up for the fact that it's a quartz, and it does have its own true lunar legacy through the lunar pilot that went up on Apollo 15. So, this is now my new hanging out space watch. This one, like I said, has been semi-retired to the suit locker. But now when I go out, I wear this a lot. I'm really pleased with it. It's a beautiful piece. I'm trying to see if I can get my hands on the titanium strap, because I do believe they make a normal titanium version of this. It comes on a leather. That's why I have it on a rubber right now, because I want to get the fit head titanium strap for it. But I don't know if they make one. But I'm thinking possibly the non-meteorite version, their bracelet will fit it. So we'll see what happens. See, so bracelets are important. Oh, but yeah, JB, I would say that is a really, really nice piece. And if you like the look of the Aquaterra, right, on a metal bracelet, you buy but you don't want to drop 7 large, get the Citizen. I'm really, really happy with this lunar pilot, and it was only 1,400, which is a lot of money in one sense, but it's not a lot of money when you're talking about watches. So there are a lot of good values out there. Well, I tell everyone about what a great value Nomos is. Um, these are awesome, awesome pieces. The movements in them are second to none in their category. The Deutsche Uhrenwerk. So this is an in-house movement. This watch is about 35 on a metal bracelet. Um, Small seconds. And so there are so many great values out there, and Citizen's one of them. Citizen is one of them. So let's see. Um, so that's all I really had to say about integrated bracelets. I think they are going to become their own new category. I think the Genta-esque integrated bracelets are going to be their own category, and there'll be other watches that have integrated bracelets, but we won't think of them as integrated bracelet watches, because going forward we will all be talking about the Genta-esque, uh, royal oak like, nautilus leaning, um, metal bracelet wristwatches that may have options in rubber and leather depending upon the manufacturer. So, well, I don't feel bad calling it a night. We've been in for about a half hour or so. Thank you all for participating. Love you all. Have a fantastic week, and have a great evening. Tell your friends.